Hey everybody, come in. I want to spend some time with you real quick. I haven't seen you in a very long time, so I want to share some things with you. Come on, and as you come on, I'll say hi when I see you. Hello, Kelly Cozy DeAndrea K. I don't know what Word of Life is, but hi. Hello from London. Hey, Apostle Yolanda, Diva to Infinity. Good to see you. Hey, Marquita, love you. Hey, I got on one of your shirts. Clack, hey, hey. Good morning, everybody. Hello from LA. Hello from Virginia. Hey, Britt, I heard you had a birthday party. And unfortunately, I was not invited. But I'm not going to manifest rejection because I'm preaching on deliverance. Cyrus Kate, I dreamed about you. I don't have your number or info, so I'll send it to you via somebody that does. But I just actually dreamed about you yesterday. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hey, Teddy. I love you, Teddy the Tenor. Hello. Hey, 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 Miss Bradshaw. Good to see you. Hey, Ryan Booker. I love you. I love you. Hello, Denise Ransom. Hello, 100% Hutched. Hey, everybody. Prophet RJ. I see Brandon Clack. Dave Hollister. This is getting harder to see. Okay, listen, let's spend some time real quick. Do me a favor, share this with your followers. Thank you. We have been trending since yesterday, and I didn't have my phone enough to know it. One of my sons did, and so he was kind of recording everything last night on Periscope. But I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and last night we celebrated the first gathering of All Nations Worship Assembly in Atlanta. Pastor LeBryant and Pastor Fanika Friend and their beautiful girls were there last night. The power of God was amazing. Listen, we had awesome worship. Natasha Cobbs was there, and she was amazing, man. That girl, first of all, if you've never seen Tasha Cobbs in person, that is a very, very, very beautiful woman of God. She's got a beautiful spirit, a beautiful heart. She carries herself so well, and she was doing good, and I was doing good. Until she said, "What a mighty God we serve." And when she did that and she went into that, I wanted to do cartwheels, and I almost went back to my roots and cleared a whole row. You know how you elbow people on the row when and you take that row out. I'm very contemporary, but I'm a church guy. And she did that yesterday, and I almost had a fit. So shout out to Tasha Cobbs, an amazing voice in worship. It was powerful. The word of the Lord was great. The attendance was great. We had over 900 people there, and the overflow rooms were full. We had over 240 people in the overflow rooms, and it was amazing. So it was an amazing thing to experience. There was a lady there last night when I first met Apostle John Eckhart. He sent a prophetic team to prophesy over my church, the first people externally to come in and give us the word of the Lord for what was happening. And that lady's name was Hazel Benz, and she was there last night. I didn't know she lived in Atlanta, and so she was there, and she was there. It touched my heart. It was just so prophetic, and I remembered, and I'll remember nothing, but I remembered the word of the Lord that came through her mouth when she prophesied in our church, probably the third service or so that we had over 12 years ago. And part of what she said was that you'll plant tabernacles around the nation for me. And so it was just very unique to have her there last night. It blessed me so much. It was just powerful. I had a lot of my sons and daughters there. There were people from the gate that came. So it was a good message. And I preached last night, deliverance from small places. Deliverance from small places. So I'm proud of Pastor LeBryant Friend, and I really believe in the work of God that's going to be done in and through he and his lovely wife here. So that's going to be awesome. So much more to come, and much more to see. So I wanted to give you a tip real quick, and I'm going to let you go. I will be in Charlotte, North Carolina this week. For those of you that are in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, I'll be ministering for Bishop Brian Keith Williams. How many of you are old enough to know Bishop Brian Keith Williams? He's a legend, man, and I'm honored to be preaching for him. It's going to be this weekend. I'll be there Friday. I believe the date is the 19th at All Nations Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, 201 Grandin Road. In Charlotte, and I'm going to be preaching for the Glory Gathering. I'll be there. Apostle John Eckhart will be there. Apostle Kim Daniels will be there. Bishop Dwight Pate, Apostle Joseph Prue, so many people. So I'll be there. It's going to be amazing. I want you to get there. Pastor Brian Williams Jr. is going to be there as well. So let's go. The Glory Gathering. It's going to be this Friday night is when I'll be there, but the whole conference is going on August 18th through the 20th, and it's going to be amazing. So if you are in the area, I will be preaching for the Glory Gathering, and it's going to be powerful. Then Sunday, I'll be back at All Nations Worship Assembly of Chicago. So lots and lots going on. All right, listen, I want to give you some important insight, okay? So I want you to listen. Thank you for those of you that are sharing this, and I want to just give you some wisdom from my life and some wisdom from my walk with God, and something that's very, very, very important for you to know. In lieu of all last night's traffic, and to be very honest, the traffic around all that we have done probably for the last several years is something very important that I want you to know. Last night I preached and prophesied to a lot of people, and just saw a tremendous outpouring of the Spirit of God. And many of you out there are wine drinkers. I don't begin to have the time this morning to talk about the theology of that, whether it be right or wrong or whatever. There are people who have contradicting and mixed feelings on the subject matter. But many of you are wine drinkers. I don't know Ravenhill, he's dead, okay, for whoever that is. Anyway, so yeah, but I want to talk to you about the worst type of wine to drink. And I know you're thinking about Merlot and Cabernet and Moscato and all of that stuff, Pinot Grigio. I'm talking about the worst wine to drink. And the worst wine for you to drink is the wine of your own success, the wine of your own fanfare, and the wine of your own hype. One of the things that I do my best to be disciplined in, and I think it's a discipline, and one of the things that I teach a lot of my sons and daughters in ministry to do, is that you need to do big, and you need to be big, and you need to plan for big, and you need to grow on large scales, and you need to do big for God and present big to God. But you never ever want to make the mistake of joining the accolades of the crowds when it comes to you. In your life, with what you do, with what you build, with what you write, with where you go, with who you meet, there are going to be crowds. Crowds are fickle, and crowds will love you on one day and despise you on the next day. That's not something to be horrified of. It's actually very, very, very normal. It's very common. It's something you should actually be prepared for. When you do anything that demands visibility, and then God starts making sure that that visibility increases over seasons, and you end up being on various platforms, and I don't mean stage, but just platforms of influence, platforms of notoriety, or just access or authority. They're going to change. One of the things that you're going to know is that a lot of people are going to hate you without a cause. And in my line of work, it's something you actually get used to, kind of numb to. And it really depends on your personality. I don't really care much about that stuff. I am probably most methodical and most calculated when it comes to who I entertain, who I relate to, who I talk to, who I'll give the time of day with relationally. Probably 5 people, literally. But in your life, you're going to have the same things if you intend to do anything large for God. So making enemies is something you're going to do very regularly. You had to get used to that. Many of you won't do it deliberately, but you're going to make enemies, people that you don't even know, that you've never had the opportunity to meet, you've never had the opportunity to even be, to have one conversation with. And I think it's weird for anybody to hate or dislike anybody if you've not at least engaged them. I think it's immature. That's neither here nor there, but it's very common when you do what I do. But a part of what keeps me centered and a part of what I teach ministry gifts to focus on is the principle of the scriptures that say, let the lips of another praise you and not yourself. I never join the accolades, the applause, the fanfare, or the song that people sing about me and where I'm going and what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong, it blesses me, it humbles me when people say that they've been blessed by my life or blessed by anything that the Lord has used me to do, blessed by something I've said. It really energizes me. It becomes a point of encouragement and a point of motivation. But I don't allow it to become the thing that I drink. I'm not drunken by it. And here's the reason why I'm not drunken by it is because in the minute that you have joined the fanfare of everything going on around you, you've lost your sobriety and your ability to discern, to decipher the traffic in your life. Don't allow the excitement of a moment and the excitement of a season and the excitement of any of that to make you so inebriated that you lose sight of, number one, where you are in God. Number two, how much you need Him. Number three, how easy it would be for you to become your worst nightmare without Him. Number four, how many people you would hurt if you joined the crowd to become an admirer of yourself and became drunken and intoxicated by that. So my caution to you and a good leadership tip is do all the big you can. Break all the records you can. Step on all the platforms you can. But when those around you are applauding, don't you dare join them. Don't you dare come into a point of being confused about who did it and why. Because even on your best day, you still do not deserve God taking a chance on you. He believes in you. He knows what He's invested in you. But don't get intoxicated by the wine of your own success. I think that's how gospel artists go off. I think that's how preachers go off. I think that's how a lot of people go off. They start drinking their own fanfare. I believe that there's a way to be forthright, to be direct, to be assertive, to be confrontational, and still be humble. Very often, people don't understand how the two of those realities can coexist in a person. When you're dealing with crowds, particularly in a democratic society, they think that if you are bold and if you are direct and if you are confrontational and if you are intolerant of error, then that makes you arrogant or that makes you proud. But it's not true. Generally speaking, crowds love the opportunity to control you and to be and the recipients of your ministry would love to be those that dictate how you approach it. And so in general, people in the kingdom really want the right to dictate how you do what you do. And so should you say something that offends them, then they, you're not humble or you're a little into yourself. But what they're intimidated by is directness. Why? Because we live in a very evasive culture, a culture that loves to talk around everything that's applicable to them. And should you be pinpoint and should you be even abrasive, it's intimidating. So they think that you're proud. But unfortunately, many people have not mastered being able to be direct, being able to be blunt, being able to be abrasive, and being able to be bold and be humble. But the two can coexist. You can be sober, you can be humble, and you can be direct. You can be forthcoming, and you can be abrasive even when need be. So this is something that I do my best to live by. It is a life goal of mine. I dare not say that I know everything that God's got planned for my future. I believe that I know a good deal of it, but God always blows my mind with what he does, and the more he gives detail about what he wants me to do. But one of the things that I vow to not do to God, and it is always a prayer of mine, is to never ever join the applause of people around you. Praising you is the job of other people. The Bible says, let another praise you, and let another praise the work of your hand, and not yourself. Because the moment you take the time and you pause to look at all you are and all you mean and all you've done, and you join the fanfare of the people around you, you become equally as distracted, and you become equally as deluded and equally as delusional, and most dangerously, you may miss your next steps. And I am sensitive to the instructions of the Lord. So because it's important to me, I'm always in a position to hear. And if the claps are too loud, I may miss God. So I don't want to go into false humility. So I legitimately am blessed when people are blessed by me. It blesses me. But I won't ever become intoxicated by the wine of my own success and by the wine of my own achievement. I'm too busy working. And so that's a mentor scope for you. And that's a leadership tip for you. God will trust you more if you allow others to promote you and others to praise you, and you don't allow that to become your intoxicant. My church has a value system of invading social media and social network with every move of God that happens in our church. Whether it be Instagram, whether it be Periscope, whether it be Facebook, for those that still use Twitter. Very seldom does something happen in our church that I don't tell them to flood the World Wide Web with. I tell them to do it. I feel like flooding the World Wide Web is equally as effective as flooding the streets. These days, your evangelism and discipleship attempts don't always have to be physical. The World Wide Web has afforded us with a tremendous opportunity to reach the world. It's made the world this big. And so because of that, everything that happens in our church, we do tell and we do show. That has become extremely intimidating to a lot of people. If I could only tell you the types of stuff that people have said and the stuff that people feel, because, you know, when All Nations does something, we flood the website with it. So, you know, for a lot of leaders, it can become a bit frustrating when you go on the computer and all you see is this church and this stuff and these events. It makes you feel like these people are full of themselves, and this is all they think about is what they're doing. And, you know, you can't be that great, and you can't. But here's a problem. When you are focused on being committed to the work that the Lord has given to your hands, you really have very little time to critique another's model or critique another's strategy. The only time you should have a problem with another's model and another's strategy is when it is anti-Christ or when it is anti-biblical. But just because a person's stratagem or a person's model is not yours does not mean that it's a subject of pride or arrogance or being braggadocious or inflammatory or any of that. It really reveals that people are only fueled by another person's failure and inadequacy. If you can only feel good about yourself when another person is not doing better than you, then you have some serious mental problems, and you are probably not suited for leadership. If you cannot acknowledge the advancements, the achievements, the progress, the method, the success, the effectiveness of another person, I don't think that you really should be over anybody. You're not secure enough to handle the turbulent effects of leading men's lives. And so it is a real thing to have insecure people all over the place, you know. And, you know, so you got to kind of be tough-skinned for my line of work. But if you are in that position, what you have got to do is you've got to study sobriety, and you've got to study humility, and you've got to become a professional deflector. You don't ever allow people to make you God. I'm aware that there are people who love me. I'm aware that there are people who honor me. I'm aware that there are people who really feel like they need my word in their lives and the environment. However, I am also extremely aware of people who have inordinate infatuation, perverse enamoration, weird attraction. And some of them express it in different ways. Others of them express it by trying to defame us. That's the way of saying they are frustrated admirers. They really, really, really want to be you. So the only way that they cope with the fact that they're not you is that they defame you. That's a lot to go on around a person who's committed to advancing. So what do you do if you don't want to be discouraged by the enemies, and because you're going to have them, and you don't want to be as distracted and as loony as the admirers, then you have to find a point of the middle ground. And the middle ground is what Paul said: I let none of these things move me. I am not motivated, or I am not offended, or I have no battery that plugs in or out because of what people do or say or don't do or don't say. My motivation is from heaven. The encouragement may minister to me, may give times of energy, but the discouragement cannot take away from me if it's not a part of what constructed me. If every preacher out there, if every entrepreneur out there, if every artist out there could grasp this, you would be much more concentrated than you could ever imagine. Focus yourself on your assignment and not the applause of people. I have watched, and I dare not even go into the names, I have watched as people in America love a man Monday and hated them Tuesday. I have watched as everybody, loved a artist one day, and in 2 or 3 days, should the right article come out, or the right person say the right thing, or the right people shade you. True story. Last time I was in Atlanta, we had over probably like 1,200 people show up at a meeting that I was doing, and I was preaching. I preached for 2 days, and the word of the Lord was amazing. And I admit I don't really look like your average preacher, and I'm not interested in it. I like clothes, and I'm not going to stop liking clothes. And the only people that have ever had a problem with that are the fashionably challenged. But so I was there for 2 days preaching and teaching. And the next day, which was a Sunday when I got home, my emails were flooded. My text message was flooded with statements about how area pastors were so infuriated that I was in their city, that they took like 20 to 30 minutes to bash me in their pulpits. And I was like, whoa. I mean, I'm glad I could be of assistance to actually give you something to preach. But it just speaks of the fickle nature of people, because a lot of the people that were in the meetings were running and doing victory laps and praise breaking. Many of them I even prophesied to. But because their pastors had a Napoleon complex, little guy syndrome, they got up like, and after being defamed and talked about and shading my church and all of that stuff, and were saying amens to the shade the next day after shouting and preaching, or shouting and running in the sermons. Now, it didn't bother me because I'm used to it, but I'm just saying, when Jesus went through the town riding on a donkey, the same people were like, Hosanna, 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 blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, blessed is he. And then the next day they're like, give us Barabbas, Give us Barabbas. Crucify Jesus. So that's a lot. If you are not a psychologically and an emotionally fortified individual, that's a lot. And it's a lot to draw people into depression. I could name probably about 10 preachers that church people have killed over the last 10 years immediately after loving them. And after reading their books and buying their tapes and going to their conferences and all of that, it's just how people do. So if you are a preacher, a businessman, an entrepreneur, or whatever, or if you train them a credible, respectable lesson to include with all of your ministerial training and your leadership discipleship is going to be that you need to teach people how not to become drunken by their own fanfare. Because if they do, they will become devastated when they run into human nature. So as a leader, as a visionary, as an entrepreneur, as a singer, an author, whatever you do, if what you do is going to mandate visibility, you cannot drink the fanfare. Don't you become your own fan. I legitimately still get shocked when people know who I am in the streets, and it's not fake. When I walk in the streets and somebody, say hi, or somebody speak to me, or a baby runs up to me and says, "Hi, Dr. Stevenson, my mom and dad watch on Periscope," it literally humbles me. I don't put on my shades and give them, celebrity. I just don't. Now, I'm very guarded, very discerning, very sober, because another thing that comes with my line of work is lunatics. But I refuse to become my own fan. So that's so important for you to know. That's so important for you to get. That's so important for you to study. Another piece of advice is that this is going to change in every season of your life. You can't update, and I want you to hear this, and upgrade in your visibility and not do the same with your humility. Humility manifests in levels. You may have been humble, and your humility level may have been sufficient for your last level of success. But when that changes and when that moves, you've got to update, you've got to upgrade, and you've got to renew your commitment to humility. So don't let people muzzle you, and don't let people make you their Pinocchio. I'll never be controlled by men. I'm going to always speak the truth, even in a brutal nature. But I'll never become president of my own fan club. It's so important. When you humble yourself and you refuse to be the one that promotes you, God makes it his job to do it for you and to do it on your behalf. So you'll never have to worry about pimping doors open, prying doors open, brown-nosing doors open. If you humble yourself, God will make sure he takes you where you got to go. And although you are in the church and called to serve the church and are part of the church, God's aim for you is to use you in the kingdom. Listen to me. I am talking to about 30 people on this Periscope that have an assignment that are going to make church people stone you. You're going to have to pour into people, sit in some environments, talk to some people, sit with some tax collectors like Jesus, sit with some prostitutes like Jesus. You're going to have to involve yourself with some very, very, very dirty environments, and church people are going to stone you. You're going to be seen in some atmospheres that are dark and that are dark in nature. And God trusts the humble, and God trusts the pure with heavy and dark assignments. Part of what makes people mad about me is that my assignment extends beyond the church, and that makes a lot of people very angry. God has set me up to where more than church people listen to me. So because of that, it threatens people who have been trapped by the church and can't break out of their own pulpits. It's frustrating. If I were you, I'd hate me too. So when you are in that position, just remain humble. Note to self, stay low. If you're paying attention to this, write note to self, stay low. Note to self, stay low. It's very important for you to know. For every entrepreneur, every visionary, every church planter, every author, every preacher, whatever you do, stay low. Finally, my brethren, here's what I'm going to leave you with. A part of staying low, and a part of not drinking the wine of your own success is going to be surrendering your right to retaliate. Surrendering your right to retaliate. If you're going to stay low, you must surrender your right to retaliate. That's very important for you to know. Stay low. You're a man. You're a woman. You're the donkey that Jesus Christ has decided to ride upon. But stay low. If you stay low, God will make sure that you go high and surrender your rights to retaliate. You see, the battles you don't fight become God's. So stay low. It's okay. And change what affects you and change what irritates you. And focus on doing work. The bored retaliate. If you're busy working, you don't have the opportunity to be mad about a lot of stuff. Hey, I love you. To be very honest with you, I am hungry. And I got to go get me some chicken or something. So I just wanted to spend some quality time with you. I know I haven't been on here, but I wanted to give you a Periscope to help you, and a Periscope to minister to you, and a Periscope to give you some information. So I'm hungry, so I got to go. But I wanted to hit you up, let you know that I'm praying for you, with you. I appreciate your consistent support of this Periscope, and I bid you peace in the precious name of Jesus. Hey, I will talk to you later, and I might show you what I'm eating here in Atlanta. I'll let you know about that. Hey, I love you guys. I'm sending you scope hugs, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.